Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more of the Great War. This time we're on to week 96. Not going to be getting past week 100 before the new year is out. Shame. But this is Cutting Germany's Wings, the Dawn of the Air Force. So we're going to start getting some word on the Red Baron, perhaps? Or did he already get shot down by this time period? I don't know when he got shot down and died. Anyways, before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love it if you joined the Discord and followed me over at Twitch. Okay. Nothing else really to add here at the beginning. Let's just fucking dive right in.
We all know that World War I was the age of the flying ace, the age of individual dogfights with the enemy. But the war in the skies had now evolved to the point where we really saw what an air force could do. I'm Indy Nidell. Welcome to the Great War. The Italian front exploded into action last week as the Austro-Hungarian army began the Trentino offensive.
I hate the Italian and the Austrian front so much. It's just idiots on both sides. It's like, who is the bigger dumbass? That's really what that front delves down to.
The Russians were on the move in the Caucasus and in Persia. The eastern and western fronts were fairly quiet for them, and American fighter pilots were flying for the French. Here's what came next. Well, at Verdun, the Germans were still trying to take the Morteau on the left bank of the Meuse, but the main action this week was on the right. The French had scheduled a new offensive there for May 22nd to retake Fort Douaumont. Now, the day before, French General Charles Mangin had gone to Fort Moulonville and asked the commander there how best to take a fort. He was asked what he was planning on using. He said 370mm mortars. But since Fort Moulonville had been under bombardment for 10 weeks by German 420s and had not fallen, Mangin was told that they were completely inadequate. But he did have, for the initial bombardment, over 300 guns, including 4 of the 370s. And what he set off over 5 days was the greatest French barrage so far at Verdun. And the shells did serious damage, especially to any German troops that had been out in the open. They flowed into Fort Douaumont and filled the hospitals. But the dust and fumes from the exploding shells made the air in the fort close to unbreathable. The signal station and its operators were obliterated. The observation turrets were knocked out of action.
So it was actually a fucking very effective artillery barrage. Damn. Good job, Mangin.
The generator that supplied the fort with electric light was crushed by sandbags, plunging the interior into darkness. But still, not a crack was made in the main body of the fort.
Never mind.
The commander of Fort Moulonville had been right. Half an hour before the subsequent infantry assault, 2 German shells fell on the French trenches. That might not sound so much, but what it meant was that the Germans had the range and were waiting for the French to show their heads. Pretty impressive considering that French aircraft had destroyed 5 out of 6 German observation balloons. So the attack began, and a murderous German counter-barrage swept across the French lines. Whole battalions of the 129th Regiment, chosen to actually take the fort, were wiped out. But still, what remained of the regiment charged fearlessly. And
Why? Why are you charging? What point is there? You're just going to die.
in just 11 minutes, the Frenchmen had reached the fort. In half an hour, the French had taken 3/4
Okay, maybe never, maybe not.
of the
What the
fort
fuck?
superstructure. A small contingent of Frenchmen penetrated the actual fort and reached the main east-west passage. And it really looked like the fort was about to change hands again. But a German Jaeger squad turned up, forced the Frenchmen back, and set up a machine gun as a deterrent. So for the rest of the day, the fighting was only in the outer tunnels, and slowly the French were repulsed.
Honestly, I'm impressed. The French did better than I thought they would, especially after hearing that a lot of their troops got fucking wiped out by an artillery barrage. That's pretty impressive. Good job, France.
Outside, however, the French had mounted their own machine gun in a position that overlooked the whole superstructure and mowed down repeated German sallies. Alistair Horn writes, 50 men of the 20th Regiment charged it. 33 were mown down. 70 Jaegers tried their hand. 15 returned. Of 40 live grenadiers, only a couple crawled back into the fort. But the situation was against the French. By the afternoon of the 23rd, the 129th was cut off and running out of ammunition, and the Germans were sending reinforcements into the fort. They brought in a heavy mine thrower that night, and when dawn came, it had been installed less than 100 meters from the French machine gunners, but invisible to them. It lobbed 8 explosive torpedoes, and then the Germans jumped out on the shattered survivors. That was the end. The French had failed to retake Douaumont. The German losses had been high, the French devastating and far higher. Mangin was withdrawn from the sector in disgrace, and French morale at Verdun reached a new low. I mentioned that French aircraft had destroyed 5 observation balloons. Let's look at the sky for a minute.
Okay.
Just think, under 2 years ago,
I'm looking up at the sky. I see a ceiling. Nothing special about it.
empires had gone to war, most of them having only a few dozen or maybe 100 aircraft total. And if you look at those planes, the French Blériots cruised at 80 kilometers an hour and took 90 minutes to climb to 2,000 meters.
Jesus.
And pilots threw steel darts at each other or shot with handguns. And you can see the leaps and bounds in technology that just 2 years had brought. One of the biggest was Dutchman Anthony Fokker's synchronization gear in 1915. So a pilot could fire a machine gun through his propeller and aim the plane to aim the gun. This gave the Germans control of the skies for months. And when you add in the fact that their machine guns could hold 1,000 rounds without reloading, and the French magazines held 47, well, you get the idea. But the age of the flying ace had begun, and the death-defying pilots were the darlings of the press and the heroes of the nation. When Max Immelmann was killed, there was one crown prince and 20 generals at his funeral.
Damn.
And Oswald Belke would receive nearly 1,000 admiring letters a month. Those airmen that could survive also made a lot more money than the average soldiers. But make no mistake, they had a much shorter lifespan than the men on the ground. By the spring of 1916, the French had begun to use new Nieuport fighters at Verdun and could finally give the Germans a run for their money. And to simply quote Alistair Horn once again, Verdun was to spell the end of the solitary ace and single combat. It was at Verdun that the word Air Force first began to have a meaning. When Verdun began, the French were outnumbered in the sky 5-1. Germany had an aerial net of 168 planes, the largest ever seen, but they didn't use it so effectively. The entire force was devoted to closing the airspace above German lines. But with 24-hour patrols of each sector by 2 planes at a time and limited fuel carrying ability, it would have taken over 700 planes to really do that job. And Colonel Barres from the French Air Service managed to bring in 120 planes within a week,
Nice.
as well as a galaxy of top French pilots, and many of them,
Nice.
like Charles Nungesser, Jean Navarre, and Georges Guinemer, formed the Escadrille des Cigognes, a real air force. And when the Cigognes took off, they plowed right through the scattered German net. The French were suddenly on top in the air at Verdun. And by May, they had 226 planes there, and German Army Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn was either unwilling or unable to match that. The French flew in concentrated formations, as many as 12 fighters to protect 2 observation planes. And their advantage showed this week as French planes, firing new rockets developed by a naval officer, shot down 5 of 6 observation.
How the fuck do you aim those rockets? Is it like just point your plane at, like I feel like no pilot flies straight enough for long enough for you to fire those kind of rockets and hit. Depends. I mean, I guess how close you're following behind, how fast those rockets move, but still, like, what?
Balloons in one day, an incredible feat. But Verdun was still a stalemate on the ground. One front that was in motion, though, was the Italian front, where the Austrians were attacking through the mountains. The Italians couldn't believe they'd do it, but they did. On the 20th, Austrian Chief of Staff Konrad von Hotzendorf extended his offensive east to the Sugana Valley, and the Austrians pushed out onto the Assaggio Plateau. But though they were on the move, the further they moved on, the smaller their chances of reaching the sea grew. They didn't have a very good supply chain. They weren't well stocked with munitions, and even in the second week, men suffered from exhaustion. But still they advanced. They reached the third line of Italian defenses and overcame it. And as the
Nice.
week came to an end, an Italian chief of staff, Luigi Cadorna, formed a new army corps to try and defend Assaggio. The Austrians captured Arciero, just a few kilometers from the plains. And we come to the end of the week, with the Austrians on the move, the Italians in trouble, and the French on top in the skies over Verdun, but failing on the ground. One non-incredible feat that failed to happen this whole spring at Verdun is something that seems obvious in hindsight. Why, when the Germans had initial air superiority, did they not bomb the French supply lines to Verdun? Heck, they even had Zeppelins that flew out of a fighter's reach.
Why did I not think of that? Holy shit. Indy, you're right.
So why not bomb the one French road, the Sacred Road, that supplied basically all of Verdun? It's one of the great questions of the war. Even a few
Who the fuck? Why would it? What the fuck? Huh.
bombing runs would have blocked the road with wrecked vehicles, but Germany didn't do that. And I'm going to leave you today with the totally unsatisfactory explanation of the chief of the Luftstreitkräfte, what would one day be known as the Luftwaffe, the chief himself, General Ernst von Hippner. We did not exactly know what should be required of aviation at Verdun.
No. That's no way. You had no other airplanes to fight, so like, what else is there to do except for, attack the ground to... What?
If you're interested in aviation and the flying aces of the war, you can click here.
I don't know if I'm interested in them anymore because they're so stupid with that kind of quote. What the fuck? Is this war just... No, this ain't the Great War. This is the war of stupidity. What the fuck? Why is everyone in this war so fucking stupid? I think we've had maybe, what, one or two actually intelligent generals so far? One of them on the German side, and I think one of them a Brit. What the fuck? And you know what? 3. We'll give the French one. I'll throw a scrap at the French. What? That was Cutting Germany's Wings, the dawn of the Air Force, the Great War, week 96. I hope you guys enjoyed this week. This was... Man, people are stupid. Hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.